is there anything you would do or change in the tennis world?
Was this for one day, or do I get like a multi-year contract?
Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Okay. I would do everything in my power to, I've got some ideas, but that might have to be a different conversation, to remove the barriers for the youth, for kids of different backgrounds, demographics. And I think a lot of times tennis, golf would be another one. I can't speak, I'm not as close to golf as I am tennis, and I don't mean so much, and I do think we should remove or at least reduce as much as possible the barriers of any kid, no matter their background, their mom and dad's income, having opportunity. And so I mean by, being at the local courts, being able to get instruction where, financial situation is not a obstacle, but also the tournaments. There's other travel tournaments in baseball and basketball. You hear about kids getting scholarship, so they're able to do it because it's not cheap, as we know. But something, and maybe I'm not maybe quite close enough. Maybe there is something like that, but where there's a lot more. Not only there's opportunity, but then hopefully that opportunity turns into interest. And then there's ideas on the pro side, but maybe we'll have to make that another conversation too.
Oh, keep going. But we do two or three. I'm good with that. I mean, you've got an idea. Yeah. What you got?
So, and I know there's been some recent discussion on this, but I'm definitely an advocate for pro tennis to have a shorter calendar, not start in January with the Australian Open. So I would reduce the overall playing calendar to 6, maybe 8 months, where each major split apart 6 to 8 weeks, and then have it, I'm in NASCAR country, so maybe that model rubs off on me a little, but have it to where it's more like a point system, where there's more culmination excitement for the end of the season. So they're building, I know they do the, what do they call that at the very end of the year, where the top guys come.
ATP finals, yeah.
Yeah, but just have more of that culmination of pulling for someone through the season. Maybe even form some teams from different major cities in the U.S. or throughout the world. Everybody loves a good team. Put 4 or 5 players on a team, pull for them from week to week.
And Bobby, it sounds a little bit like UTS that they've got going on right now, but also I'm thinking World Team Tennis. You got some experience there, right?
Well, I'm laughing. It sounds like a lot of things that people have already said to us, and it's amazing.
The calendar, yeah.
If the calendar is certainly a hot button, the aspect of the team has been very popular as well. And why aren't the powers that be listening? To me, it always goes back to. So it sounds like there's a leadership void in the top. Again, that's a different conversation, and we don't need to bash. But it's so true, and I love said it as well, as far as the way we give money to the youth programs, instead of wasting money trying to give it to a coach and say, okay, this is your salary. You're going to bring in kids and let them play tennis and let them learn it this way. We're spending the money anyway. Let's allocate the money differently. And it probably Jon's background in college athletics and trying to raise revenue is very helpful. But I see this, the revenue model needs to change. Local level, high school level, college level, it needs to change. And, hopefully it will be alive long enough to see it, but it needs to change.
I'd love to also see a system where let's say you decided whether 64 or 128 is the right draw size, where those players get in, on that, they've earned it, kind of similar to a PGA card. They've earned their spot for that year. But then you've got some of the challenger below it, so they're below that 64 or 128, and man, they're grinding away trying to get one of those top 64 spots. And then if you lose first round, maybe you got to play some of those guys, that have worked their way up to that. Have a little bit more competitiveness at those levels too.
That was another thing that just came up. So, Jon, you're right on, and I love the NASCAR analogy. I always say that tennis, needs to go hire the NASCAR marketing guy or the WWE. Because if you can sell something where everybody makes a left turn, or something that you know the outcome is predetermined, and you're still selling out arenas, you're doing a pretty good job promoting what you're doing. And that was one of my first experiences in sports was at Talladega when I was in graduate school. And I was so impressed with the fan interaction. And we did a survey for Hershey. And, I hate to say the demographic of the crowd might have been what I expected, but everybody knew who their driver was. And to the point, everybody knew every sponsor of their driver. And were they more likely to purchase because they were a sponsor of their driver? Absolutely. The brand loyalty was incredible. Tennis, I've always said, spends far too much time selling a player, not enough time selling the game. So when we have a great player, we have a renaissance in tennis. But if we sold the game, like with golf, where golf has always been sold, then you get a Tiger, it goes to a whole nother level. Tennis has always waited around it, and now we're waiting for the next great American, and it's a global game. It's crazy. We need to, again, change. I love the team ideas. I love the PGA card analogies. All that is all come up. So again, hopefully somebody's listening to us.
Well, John,
in between each court, there'll be a court harbor. So
there you go. So that's
right. We'll be happy to provide the signage and other court product.
Exactly. I'm sure
exactly. Exactly. So we got this thing wired.
And John, Bobby got you off the hook because I was going to push back. We often get the King of Tennis question that comes in. I'd like to make it more accessible for. I'd like to make it more affordable. There's always these ideas, but then I'm going to push back and I'm going to say, yeah, but John, how are you going to do that? Because everybody's, well, if I'm king, I'd snap my fingers and say, it's all now affordable. Well, okay, you just put a lot of tennis pros in the poorhouse, and that's going to be a dangerous thing. But Bobby kind of saved you today, because I think his idea, which I've always appreciated, is if the USTA actually spent the money well, again, from our point of view, maybe it's not a leadership problem, Bobby. Maybe it's there are things we don't actually understand going on. Like when you become president of the United States, you learn all the things that you can't actually do during your campaign that you said you were going to do. But John, the opportunity side, I like it a lot. And Bobby throws out the idea and saying, okay, how would Bobby do it? I get it. Next time, John, I'm going to push and I'm going to say, how are you going to help with those opportunities? Because those are the real things I think that can help people, that can get those kids playing. And that's why I love the King of Tennis question, because here's what I would love to do. The question is then, is it actually possible, or am I just doing a pipe dream again?
Yeah. So I love this discussion. And I think the quick answer that we need to drill down into next time is, of course, it's relationships. It's getting I know this is an overused phrase, but getting the right people in the room, having these hard, frank discussions. It doesn't seem to me, and I don't know the ins and outs of the governing body's revenue and bottom dollar, but it doesn't seem like lack of money is the issue. So it's more of an allocation issue, and so where are we spending these dollars that's really not growing the game and really making a difference and getting the racket in people's hands?